Teacher Talking Sports, what it does, what it do, how we living. The past 2 days, The Athletic has posted articles on Anonymous NBA Players Poll 2023, in which they asked players anonymously their votes for certain categories: MVP, most overrated, most underrated. I thought we could briefly go over some of the results from that poll. I'm not going to share it because it's Athletic. They're behind the paywall. But it goes on to mention that our staff of hoop scribes recently surveyed 108 current players, nearly one quarter of the league, asked them to name this season's MVP, amongst other things. We granted anonymity to give players the freedom to answer honestly without fear of reprisal from teammates, players from rival teams, and league officials. So not all the players answered every question, but I thought I'd go over some of the main ones. I won't go over all the questions that were asked, but who's the MVP? Joel Embiid received half the votes out of 102. Nikola Jokic, 25 and a half. Giannis 15.7. Tatum came in fourth. SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, fifth. Luka Doncic, sixth. They were the six that received votes. That seems to be what is going to happen in real life, because it definitely seems like Joel Embiid will win his first MVP after finishing as the runner-up 2 straight years to Nikola Jokic. Jokic finished 0.2 assists away this season per game from averaging a triple-double, becoming the third player in NBA history to do so, and the first center. But it definitely seems widespread that Joel Embiid will win his first MVP. Probably deservedly so. Jokic is great at making his teammates better. You could see how much he impacts the game with the on-off metrics. They are just so much better with him on the court, but Embiid definitely the better defender, the league's leading scorer this year. So I could agree with Embiid winning MVP, although Jokic will likely finish as a runner-up. Who's the best defender? So Jaren Jackson Jr. won Defensive Player of the Year. The other finalists were Brook Lopez and Evan Mobley. None of those three were the winner of this poll. It was Drew Holiday, who received 28.7% of the votes. Who was second? Lou Dort at 11.4%. We see Jaren Jackson Jr. only got 4% of the vote. There were 6 players who received more votes, and Giannis had the same amount of votes as Jaren Jackson Jr. So Drew Holiday, a major cog in Milwaukee's team, member of their championship team in 2020, 2021. Lou Dort, though, a guy that not many name as one of the best defensive players in the league, but definitely plays a role where he could defend from 1 to 5. So the players seem to appreciate him, maybe more so than the media. Last year's Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart, finished tied for third with 8.9% of the vote. Building a roster from scratch, who are you going to sign first? Overwhelming winner, the Greek Freak, 52.4%. Second was Jokic at 8.7%. I'm going to fully agree with that. I'm on record. I know I've said in previous videos, I still think the Greek Freak is the best player in the NBA. Doesn't need to win MVP or anything for me to believe that. But the Bucks are down 1-0, so we'll see if he plays tonight. He's questionable. Definitely a huge loss for the Bucks if he can't play tonight, and the Heat would have a golden opportunity to go up 2-0 in their series. Who is the most overrated player? So actually the other category won 31.5%, but otherwise Trae Young, 14.8%, more than doubled, well, actually doubled the vote, exactly double the vote of Julius Randle and Pascal Siakam, who got 7.4% of the vote. Trae Young, I'm a Knicks fan. I saw him, put my team in misery in the 2021 playoffs as he led the Hawks to the conference finals. But I just truly believe that conference finals appearance was a fluke, and it's looking that way. Last year was an easy out in the playoffs to the Miami Heat. Through 2 games this season, it looks like they might be an easy out again to the Boston Celtics, and Trae Young has shot miserably in so far in this year's postseason and last season's postseason as well. Even adding DeJounte Murray, the Hawks haven't taken a step forward. So I could understand why he would be considered the most overrated. We know his defense has a lot. Doesn't leave much to the eye. He doesn't provide much defense. Julius Randle, as a Knicks fan, man, I mean, the guy's great. Can be turnover prone. The ball could stop it with him at sometimes. I don't have a problem with that. I'm surprised Jimmy Butler received 5.6% of the vote. Next, who's the most underrated? Other again got the most vote. But the player who got the most votes, Drew Holiday. So we won 2 categories, 17.5%. Fully agree. Before this season, he was only a one-time All-Star. I've been doing this series, is he a Hall of Famer? And I'm not going to do Holiday because he has too many seasons. I think he still has a decent amount of time left in the NBA. I've mostly been doing guys whose career just ended or it seems like it's going to end really soon. But Holiday will be an interesting Basketball Hall of Fame case when his time comes up. SGA, Shea Gilgeous Alexander finished second. Mikal Bridges third. Jalen Brunson and Jaden McDaniels and Derek White tied for fourth. Derek White definitely underrated. He's been such a key piece for the Boston Celtics. Last one I'll go over. Who's the greatest player of all time? Michael Jordan, 58.3% of the vote. LeBron James, 33% of the vote. Kobe Bryant, 6.8% of the vote. And it looks like, so 103 votes. So it looks like both Bill Russell and, wait for it, Tracy McGrady received 1 vote for the best player of all time. So apparently they haven't done this survey in 4 years, but Jordan's lead has dropped over LeBron. Part of that could be, well, LeBron is currently now the NBA's all-time leading scorer, but as we go further and further into NBA history, a lot of these guys who are currently in the league may not have seen Jordan, and as we go further and further in the future, less of them will have seen Jordan. All these guys have seen LeBron, but man, I know this is anonymous. How you gonna be anonymous? But who voted for Tracy McGrady? I want to know. I'm a big Tracy McGrady fan, but best player of all time when he never won a playoff series. I know he made the finals with the Spurs, but he wasn't in their rotation. I want to know who voted for McGrady. So those are the ones I'm going to go over from the Athletics anonymous players poll. Let me know your thoughts. What do you agree with? Do you agree Drew Holiday's most underrated? Do you agree Trae Young's most overrated? So I do think Trae Young's one of the most overrated, but a guy I would also mention I think is kind of overrated, Zach LaVine with the Chicago Bulls. He could be a great scorer, but he doesn't really bring much else to the table. He's not a great defender, but he would maybe be... Trae Young's up there too, though. I mean, people act like he's Steph Curry, but when you look at his three-point accuracy, he's pretty much below average three-point shooter, albeit at a large sum of attempts. I'm not saying he's a below average three-point shooter, but when it comes percentage-wise, he kind of is. Let me know your thoughts on what I talked about, though. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.